are ready to go live. It says we are live now. So, everyone, hello. I'm Leigh from This Is Fit with Leigh, and today we have a special guest, Sonia Knapp. Hello, Sonia. Welcome. Glad you're here. And everyone, Sonia is very special to me because we are actual friends in real life. We met maybe 8 years ago in Sejong City, South Korea. So this is a genuine friend, and I'm just so glad to have her here to talk about her experiences in climbing, her experiences in the outdoors world, and also we're going to talk a little bit about animals later, animal adoption, animal rescue, and I hope you guys can look forward to that part. So, Sonia, hello. Can you do a quick self intro, please?
Okay. My name is Sonia Knapp. I've been in Korea mostly on, a little off since 1998. In America, I was a high school teacher. In Korea, I teach university. I've always been a traveler. I've always loved animals. And yeah.
And you love the ocean, right? You love the
And
beach,
I
don't
love
you?
mountains and beaches and anything
Mm-mm.
outside. And I'm trying to wean myself off of things that I can get injured doing.
Right, right. I know you did some really cool climbing things in the past, but as we go along. Oh, Evan, hello, Evan. Good to hear from you. Good to see you. Here with Sonia. So I was wondering, could you talk a little bit about how you first came to Korea? Because you've been here mostly on, a little off for over 20 years. It's 9 years for me. So I think that's fascinating. So how did you first come here?
So I wanted to move out west, and I took a job teaching in Moab, Utah, which is a
Mm.
beautiful place. But I'm not a big city girl. I'm not a small town in Utah girl either. It turned
Medium, in between.
Yes. The problem with Moab is that like you had to drive 100 miles to get to Grand Junction, which was like the nearest town bigger than Moab.
Oh, oh, you
And
were really in the middle of nowhere. So
yeah,
kind of being in this off the map place prompted you to want to go somewhere.
yeah,
But
I was
how
leaving that
did
job. I knew I could not stay there. I didn't date for like a year, and I was like 28 at the time. And
there's just no adults worth there's
I
no
knew
adults to
every
date.
man in town, and let's just
I'm
say,
sorry. I'm
oh,
sorry. It just
no,
it sounds like my
it was
hometown in
horrible at the
America.
time. It's funny now.
Yes.
And I knew they were looking for teachers in Asia, English
Right.
teachers, and I was an English teacher. And I thought, like, well, I'm not in a relationship now because I haven't dated for a year. So, like, I don't have a job. I'm leaving my job. So, this would be the perfect time to spend a year abroad. You know, I had been to Asia as a child. I had not been to Korea, but the internet in 1997, it seemed like Korea with a master's degree, even though it was the IMF crisis, that I could, teach at a university and also mountains and beaches. And so
That's
I thought,
right.
there I
That's
go. I
right. It
need a
just
place
it
to
just
stay.
worked out
I mean,
perfectly.
and so I came for a year.
Right, and that is so much the way. So that's my photographer friend. 안녕하세요. Hello. So that is so much the way of Korea. Is a lot of people come here for a 1 year magical adventure and end up staying for a long, long time.
Coming back. Just
Right,
because you leave
right.
doesn't mean you can't come back.
The boomerang effect is also something I've seen a lot. I've seen many people stay in Korea 2, 3 years, go home, go abroad, come back 5, 10 years. It's a good country to live in. It certainly is. So my next question for you would be, what's your fitness background? Like, were you active as a kid? Were you active in college? Like, what did you do?
So I wasn't a team sport. Like official sport person. We were free range kids, right? Like mom
Mm-mm-mm.
on board, go ride your bike and climb trees and things like that. And as a kid, I did like triathlons, just running, biking, swimming, participated in road races. That's what was available, in New Orleans at the time. Um, Convinced my parents to let me take gymnastics. But, it wasn't like the most professional place, but it was fun. And my brother got into the climbing. And the first time he ever took me climbing was when I was 15 or so, and we went to Alabama. We
Of
made that
all,
long drive from New Orleans to almost Tennessee, Alabama, and climbed at Mushroom Rocks.
oh my goodness. And
It was like,
little known fact is
early 80s.
my family lives in Texas now, but I was born and raised in Alabama. And I rarely meet people from there abroad. I rarely meet people who have even been to Alabama. But that's neat. That's a connection for us. So from those kind of sports when you were younger, how did you get started in climbing, like the rock
Well, my brother
climbing?
took me, and it was kind of a back burner thing. But when I did my undergraduate in New Orleans too. So needless to say, not much climbing. My brother moved to Colorado in, I want to say 87 or so, in the middle of university. And so I would visit him there. Um, and when I went to graduate school, I did a little bit, but I was busy with grad school. And so after graduate school, when I moved to Madison, Wisconsin for my first job, I was just like, I mentioned it to them before they hired me, and they put me in touch with one of the local climbers in the company, and we ended up dating for 3 years. But, going out a lot and getting out and climbing a lot.
There you go, just kind of natural, and the people you
Yeah.
meet, like
And
it leads to that
mentor.
progression.
I learned through mentors. We didn't have like the first climbing gym I ever joined wasn't even like a real climbing gym. It was a barn in Wisconsin, and we all made the holes and did the construction and put money in a box every month. Um,
I love that homemade barn gym. That's
it was
fantastic.
called the barn. And the guys that made it ended up opening an official climbing gym. But to be a member of the barn, you had to be invited, and then you had to like be accepted by people. And I remember my boyfriend and I thinking like, this is a little weird, just people we met at the local Craig. And we had this other guy from work who climbed with us a lot, and we were like, if we join, we have to be able to get John in. And that was fine. They accepted John too. But at first we were like, we don't know
What
these people.
right, like
Like,
what is
oh,
this? What is this super special secret club?
but
So
Wisconsin, if you want to climb in the winter, you need to be indoors somewhere.
I admire it so much. So everyone, we're going to look a little bit. There's my This Is Fit stuff. We're going to look a little bit at some pictures from Sonia's amazing climbing days. So this, I just got to say, you look so cool here. Like you look so amazing, just out there. I see the chalk on your fingers.
I think these
So
are both sea cliffs.
okay,
Like the
okay.
one on the left in Busan,
Uh-oh.
Amnangongwon, maybe, and
Okay,
the right is
okay.
the Dampo Beach.
Oh my gosh. Like, because I love the beach side. I love Busan especially. So these photos, was this something that you would be doing like every month? Like what was how
Every
often were
weekend
you
climbing for sure.
oh my gosh. Okay, so this was a regular thing for you.
Yeah.
And that seems so intense. Like you got to be bringing your A game. Like this is, the muscle strength, like the mental toughness. The so what do you think was the hardest part about doing this actual like rock climbing?
So, I had two stages of doing this. Is later life, post accident. So these are fun climbs, not too strenuous.
Okay.
Pre accident, um, there's a lot of training and all, but it was so fun that it's like you're doing something you really enjoy doing. And even like climbing in the barn and climbing at the gym, that you're training for outside. It's so weird for me today, like when people just climb at a gym and they've never gone outside, and it's like, wait, that's like rock climbing, rock. That's, but going to Saraksan, like, and being able to see that different perspective. You're the one looking down at the people looking up at you, and
Mm-mm.
share that with people. And
Right.
then meet the Korean climbers at the climbers shelter and share with them,
Mm-mm.
and and then re-meet them somewhere else. And it's so much community too. And that's why, like, I I mean, I just got over a broken hand because I went climbing in October right
Oh,
after the
honey.
rains. I went
Oh, honey.
to Bukansan with a friend because I was so excited that an old friend got in touch with me and said, "Hey, I'm going to be in Korea. Do you want to go climbing?" And I'm like, "Yes, I want to go climbing." And I forgot, like, oh, I'm a little old and out of shape.
Oh.
But actually, I broke my hand slipping on the trail on the hike out. So the climbing was.
Well, it's injuries are like that. I had a friend once, he broke his arm, and the story he told everyone was, I broke my arm falling out of a tree. What actually happened was he jumped up to grab a tree branch. He did not grab the tree branch, he missed, and he fell and broke his arm. So he broke his arm falling out of nothing. So that is. So you said that you had like a you said you had an accident around this time. What was the accident that
The
you had while
one that
climbing?
ended my climbing career was in Thailand. I had a compound fracture,
Oh my!
and it
Was
had limited mobility in the foot now, and
mm-mm-mm.
it also gave me a fear of falling for a long time.
Oh, I see. I see. So it was. Can you describe how it came about? It was from a fall?
Yeah, I mean, it was Craig, that it was the first day people were climbing there. Some friends of mine put up the routes, and I had just watched someone do this particular route and went on it. And it was new, so there was a lot of loose rock, and I guess there was a lot of rope out. I was just checking if I could clip the bolt, reaching out to like touch it, and the hold I was holding onto just broke off. And it was like the Roadrunner cartoons. I felt myself dangling in the air and then just slammed into the rock. I mean, I didn't hit the floor. That's why, but I just hit with one foot. And then, it's at a bad angle, the bone's sticking out, and we're 5 hours from the nearest hospital,
Oh, Sonia.
Western
Oh,
hospital.
Sonia.
So it had infection and.
Oh gosh, that's serious, and it's something that happens in an athlete's life. Like these kind of things, the unpredictable things. Like we all do our best to ensure safety in any sport, and yet injury does happen. And I've always had a lot of respect for you. Just so many aspects of your personality, your life, and how you are in the world that I really like, and I would really love to emulate. But somehow knowing this kind of story, it really impacts me.
But
I
if
think
you
you're
have fun, if you do
right.
stuff, it's like my friends that, like, especially skied moguls or played basketball or soccer.
Oh.
I mean, when you hit 40 at a party, like everybody's, "Oh, who did your meniscus? Where'd you get your shoulder done? Do you have any recommendations?" It's like,
True. Oh,
so if you have
we have
fun,
another little hi. I'm
you
gonna say
pay
oh
for
hi.
it. And
Right. You gotta be thoughtful, gotta be careful. So so we were discussing climbing, and I had a few more photos to look at from the climbing days. So this just looks amazing. Can you talk about the photo on the left where we're kind of on a down angle from you, and you're like climbing down this spire? So
that
that
is a
looks man.
bull, a
Okay.
bull-shaped climbing wall in Cheongdo.
Oh my gosh.
But
So that
I
so
first
that's
saw it as a digital image, and I asked Eric, who made Korea on the Rocks, if I could post under climbing areas
oh
a place that didn't exist yet. And then I kept checking back on it, and when it did exist, you had to reserve it for your group. So we
Mm.
reserved it and had a and you can climb inside of it too, because you got the keys to
Oh.
the inside, and they take off the first 3 meters so the local people don't get drunk and fall, you know. And so
Oh, there you
then
go.
they meet you in the morning and give you the access,
Man,
and
Sonia, you're making me want to climb. Like, if it
it
weren't for
was so
if it weren't for the nails, like I would,
that was just
I
so
would.
fun. We went up because Daegu was nearby, and most of us stayed at the house of one of the climbers there Friday, and then we all went to the Bull. Um, and it's crazy shaped climbing wall, but Korea, you know,
Right, right. But I love that though. I love that. So where'd you say that was again? Cheongdo?
Cheongdo-gun.
Cheongdo. Okay,
I want to
okay.
say south of Daegu. So is that Gyeongsangnam? Maybe
I think so. I
I
think
think
so.
it's yeah.
Okay, my friend Eric is in Daegu roughly. He's not in precisely Daegu, so maybe if I visit him, my friend Maria is there too. Maybe I can get in some climbing when I visit. What about the photo on the right? I'm seeing ice.
Ice.
What is this glorious
I'm
picture?
gonna say that's Yeongdong,
Mm-mm.
because that is in Korea. And yeah, I kind of don't do ice anymore, and I haven't done a lot of ice. But the last time I did it, I really, really sucked. Um,
Well, I imagine there's a big learning curve. Gracious, that does not look simple.
and it like, yeah, I mean, it's painful, like, because just you're
Mm.
really, really sore the next day.
Right, and are
Too
those
old for that.
spikes? Are those spikes on your shoes as
So
well?
crampons, yeah.
Okay, okay. That's what crampons are. I read a lot of fiction where people are climbing, but I've not done any myself. So climbing in the ice, so that's something that takes a lot of additional practice, would you say? Because it's like fundamentally different from just regular rock face climbing.
Yeah, I mean, it's different. The first time I ever went ice climbing, when I lived in Moab, I was sometimes I didn't have partners on weekends because all the climbers in Moab were like waiters and waitresses, and they worked nights and weekends. So I would just drive down to Indian Creek, bring my gear, and look for groups of 3 or 5. And I met some guys from not Durango, and and I was like, hey, you can stay at my place. I've got bathroom and shower stuff that the campgrounds there didn't. And they were like, well, when have you ever been ice climbing? I'm like, no, but like, well, when we get ice, we'll give you a call. And when they got ice, they gave me a call. And I remember, like, because they take me to this bridge to look at what we're going to climb. And
Mm.
it's this like 3, 4 pitch waterfall called Ames Ice Hose. And I'm looking, and I see the waterfall, but I don't see anything that I think they're going to take someone who's never gone ice climbing on. So I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it. And they're like, that. And I'm like, I don't see what you're talking about.
So
And then we
it
skied,
was
and
oh
and at first they're not even giving me any hints. And I'm like,
okay.
just you have to treat me like I've never done this before, because I've never done it before. And like, I wasn't even thinking about hooking things instead of trying to chop everything. And when I moved to Korea, I got to do a lesson. My climbing gym went with Chung Sung Kwan, who came in third place, notably at the X Games, one of the early X Games, and was like Korea's best ice climber.
Oh, okay,
He took our
famous.
gyms, his gym and our gym, on a little trip up by Soraksan, and he was actually like teaching us what to do and letting
Oh,
us practice on like low angle small stuff. And I thought, like, see,
this is how you do it.
yeah, like, that's a good teacher.
I
But
think,
like,
yeah, just diving into ice climbing sounds like not positive. Okay, so from Evan, do you have one memorable climbing expedition you wish others could also experience to appreciate climbing?
uh,
Evan, bringing the real
Evan,
questions.
yeah, no, it's hard to choose one. I mean, I've like sea stacks in Tasmania fun, but,
Okay.
like, I yeah, Australia, I had a lot of great adventures. Thailand, I mean, I used to go every winter, and even after the accident, I'd go back. Korea. Korea has so many amazing ridges, and even, like, this October, climbing with Joe, an easy ridge up in Pukensan, um, it was just fun to do it. Like, even though I broke my hand, I think I'm still glad I went because it was fun
Mhm.
to rope up and, you know.
Oh, that's beautiful. It sounds like you enjoy, climbing. You love this. So even if unpleasant things arise, even if really terrible things come up, the joy of the experience of a life like fully lived is worth, the price of admission there.
I think, like, you
Oh.
miss the community, and the
Oh.
nice thing is now, like, when the accident happened, I was 32, and as you know, that's kind of like your prime,
Mm-mm.
because it is kind of, and then it was devastating, but, like, right now, I would already be in decline. So, I and it's just, like, changing my motto from, "I
Mm-mm.
have to go hard," I have to go hard to, like, "If you can't do something well, learn to enjoy doing it poorly."
I love that. That may
And,
be
like,
the best advice I've heard in a long time.
I don't have to pull my own weight anymore with, like, I supply the gear, but I'll let the young army guy carry it, right? And I can show them how to do stuff and show them things like low to the ground or at the anchors, but they can, like, do the hard, strenuous rope gun stuff. I don't have
There you
to do
go.
that anymore, you know? Um,
Nothing to
I'm not gonna
prove, nothing
cook
to
a
prove.
meal at the if they carry the ice chest from the car, I'll cook.
But that made me so happy to hear you say that about if you can't do something excellently, learn to love doing it poorly. Because I think just people put too much emphasis in sports and athletics and anything, too much emphasis on perfection. And just the fact that you get so much out of any pursuit if you just go wholeheartedly, even if the outcome isn't as just as amazing as you might think. So these are some pretty cool things you've had going here. And also, okay, I'll get to the animals a little bit later. But so I wanted to ask you, because you've mentioned like a nugget of advice just then. What is the best advice you've ever gotten? It could be any category related to teaching or sports or life
Yeah,
related.
I don't know. I've probably gotten a lot of good advice. I think of my mom, who really tried to instill in us that, like, when we were going through really horrible things or what we thought was really horrible, that things will get better again. That
Mm,
that's just life. It's, people days don't want to ever feel sad, but sometimes things happen that you feel sad.
yes, thank you. It's a good thing to remember that no matter how bad something is, it's almost certainly going to get better. You hear very few stories of people's lives where they got sad or injured or wounded, emotionally or physically, and it just stayed bad forever for 10, 20, 30 years. Like there's fluctuations. If you are patient, there's going to be something good on the other side. So that was from
And
your mother.
yeah, you have to find something, good too. Sometimes um, it takes effort uh,
Exactly. Like you have to look for it. And
and
so we
learn from
haven't.
other people.
Oh, yes, absolutely. You mentioned several times the importance of community. Like when you're climbing, of course, you have to go with people, but just being around good people is absolutely necessary in all aspects. So, my friend Layla, we got a hello for us. And how are you doing today? So, Sonia, how are you doing today?
Good. Friday.
That's right. That's right. So everyone, maybe you've heard the English phrase TGIF, thank God it's Friday. In Korea, we have a different phrase when it's Friday. Sonia, do you know the famous
I don't think so.
Burgum, Fire Friday? We say because like Friday is on fire, so we say Burgum. And so we had just done what's the best advice you ever gotten. And I like that thing about, sadness or bad times, there being something on the other side. And this is one I feel like you definitely have a good answer for. What advice should people ignore? What's some
I
just
think
terrible advice you've heard?
anything that doesn't like gel with them. I think of
Mm-mm.
like when I was learning to be a teacher. Well,
Mm.
I had a teaching graduate school, I had to teach undergrads, and I just like tried to deconstruct being a student. But then when I went back to school for secondary ed, and most importantly, when we did student teaching, and I had just a wonderful mentor who, would always say like, well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? But she also included everyone in the department. So if I had like a question, I could ask and get 10 people's input from their
Ooh.
experience and then
Ooh.
choose the one that was best for me. But
Hmm.
it's not like they were giving bad advice, but some advice
Exactly.
doesn't work for you. So I would just say, take all the advice and then synthesize it through your own experience and in your own personality and your own way of doing things. Like I'm not a disciplinarian, so I needed the talk the kids through it advice
Mm-mm.
for discipline. So
No, that is marvelous, and I think so true because every person has an internal compass. You have to be able to trust your instincts or trust your own thought process and feelings to some extent. So you have to get a lot of advice and then filter. It doesn't even have to be bad advice, just if it doesn't make it through the filter, if it doesn't ring true with you, then you might need to let it go. Let it go. Let's see. Oh, we had a question. Aren't you scared of rock climbing? So, Sonia, are you scared after so long,
I am
or
not.
after?
No, and I mean, like, okay, this climb we did in October. So we didn't get to the top because it had rained all Monday and we went Tuesday. And Joe is 53, I'm 54. We were like, we got up there, we roped up, we each led a few pitches, turned back down. My other thought is it's great to get to the top, but getting to the bottom is really more important.
Right,
Right.
safely.
And safely. And but it was like I led a few pitches and there's a little bit of like that fear that it's kind of like I said, I was a little nervous to do an interview.
Mm-mm.
It's like going on stage, but it's not that you don't want to do it. It's like that nerves can actually be good, but not being stupid. Like I look back and when I was young, before I had an accident, um, I mean, this guy in my gym in Seoul and I would unrope on Insabong because on the weekend there'd be 70 groups, 12 people at one belay. We would just unrope and like climb the easy pitches around. And if
Wow.
either one of us had fallen, we would have pulled the other one and it would have been a really ugly scene for everyone there, you know? But
Mm-mm.
we were just like, oh, this is just a 5'8" pitch and we're 5'10" climbers. So like, but like now I look at that and I'm thinking, God, that's stupid. Or even like climbing with a cast because I broke a foot. So just doing easy climbs, teaching people how to lead and stuff. I love those
Oh,
casts that have the rubber at the bottom. And
right.
then,
So,
I go back to the doctor and they look at it and they're like, what are you doing?
so there's different ways to make it safer, in other words, and
Yeah.
um,
Like,
and
don't
I,
climb when you have a cast.
follow protocol. And I think for me, I don't do climbing, but I don't think I would be scared to do so because I like extreme sports like skydiving, paragliding, scuba diving. I'm in. I'm good. But I would say, everything can be a little bit scary. And oh, we had a little hello here. Good morning from
Oh,
Minnesota, Emily.
Emily in
Emily.
Korea? Emily in
Oh, well,
Minnesota now.
well, she's not with us any longer, but we love our Emily. So
Don't say it like that.
she's no longer with us.
She's
Like
not in Korea
she's
with us
she's
anymore.
not with us in the
She
country.
is with us actually
Okay.
right now.
I think you discussed this earlier. Layla asks, but where are you from? Where are you from, Sonia?
From New Orleans.
New Orleans, Louisiana, United States. That is in the southern United States, everyone. It is the state. It's one state over from where I was born in Alabama. And also I think you have dual citizenship,
I do.
American and Austrian, not Australian, everybody, Austrian.
No kangaroos in Austria.
No. How often do you have to explain that it's Austria, not Australia?
Like when my mom came to Korea, people would ask her where she's from, and she'd say America. And she wasn't even a citizen at the time. Now she's an American citizen. But I'm like, Mom, they hear your accent. Just say Austria. Like, but they're not going to understand. I'm like, okay, say Austria, the sound of music.
Oh, that's right. Everyone, I love the sound of music, and everyone in Korea knows it too.
And everyone knows it.
Haven't updated my handle yet. Sorry for the confusion. It's okay, Emily, not in Korea. We don't. My best friend Amanda, I think her Instagram is still something like Amanda in Korea, and she hasn't lived in Korea for 5 years. So yeah,
she visited us.
You could just, yeah, she visits a lot. That's my girl. So you could keep that. You can keep that, Emily. All right. So moving on to a few extra questions here. So we had some things about advice, and let's look back at our pictures because everyone, Sonia, we did the outdoors sportswoman part of the interview, and now we're moving on to the animal part. So I've said that Sonia is into animal adoption, animal care. It's one of the things I respect so much about her. So we're going to look at that a little bit because over time, I want to shine more and more of a spotlight on people who do good things in the world and see if I can help as much as I can. So this is Sonia with her 3 cats. Can you introduce us to your cats a little bit?
My 3. Let's see. So I don't know. I can see the pointer. So the picture with me, the one in the foreground is Valjean. He is my former street kitty.
That's right.
He lived in front of the mini stop and got really sick. And so it was December 2017. He chased me down. I was on my bike and he's like, I want to come live with you. Can I come live with you?
Oh,
And the next day I went back with a cat carrier because I kept, like, I had a trip planned. I had cat sitters for the other 2. And I'm like, well, if he's there and if he gets in the carrier,
then it's meant to be.
Yeah, so it was meant to be. And the other 2, the one with the half mustache is Woogie, and the one behind him is his sister Susie. So they were a rehoming situation. When I decided I could commit to cats again, I knew, I travel, I live by myself, and I worked because it was before COVID when I was working away from home. And I decided to look for an older, less adoptable pair so they could keep each other company.
And Sonia, the question, do you think that is helpful or an important part to consider when adopting an animal, particularly a cat, is maybe considering getting its sibling or getting a pair?
I think 2 are easier than 1. Now, they tolerate their adopted brother, but they're not like best friends. But those 2, like, they're always together. They eat together, sleep together, play together, groom each other.
There you go. So it would be something to consider if you have, your heart and your living situation are open to animals. So we had a question here. When did you start rock climbing? So do you have a year, Sonia? Do you remember the
Uh,
year?
when I was like 15, I think, or 14, my brother took me the first time. I'm gonna say 1983,
Oh, okay, okay. So
1982,
back
something
in the
like that.
day. So this is the most precious job to rescue animals. You are a special. You are
And
Sonia.
I
So
don't do a lot of rescue because, I'm not emotionally equipped. I don't, like, do a lot of
mm-mm.
fostering. I do a lot of TNR, like, where
Wh-
the cat hates me. It only stays in my apartment for 1 or 2 days, and then I release it, and it
Oh,
goes
what is
back
it?
to
What is it?
the
Is
cat
it
moms.
TNR? To clarify for people, TNR is it trap, neuter, release?
Trap, neuter, return. So,
Return. So
you wanna bring them
everyone,
to the same
it's
place.
one of the big issues with animals in the wild is not the right word, but animals on the street, animals out in the community that don't have an owner, is they need to be spayed or neutered. We need, it's not healthy for us to keep a growing, street animal population. They're not happy. So that's interesting. How did you get involved in the TNR system?
Just seeing cats around my apartment complex having babies, and then
Mm,
babies disappearing. It's not healthy for the mother. It's not sustainable. And I can't, I'm limited. I thought I was limited at 2. I'm definitely limited at 3. I
mm-mm-mm.
I hope to retire in Korea. That gives me 10 more years. The cats are 9 years old. I joke 2 at least have to die before I can move, because and who can even move with a 19-year-old cat?
Right.
So
Exactly. So these are some of Sonia's animals, and now
those
we're
are
going.
all of my animals.
Right. I don't know why I said some of. No, you're looking at the whole thing, everybody. This is the maybe a goldfish. No, a goldfish with cats. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So everyone, the point I was trying to come to also is there is a specific cat for rescue that Sonia knows of and has in mind here in Korea. Sonia, could you tell us a little bit about her?
Yes, so I named her Nadia because my sports hero is Nadia Comaneci,
That's
and
right.
she's a Russian blue, and it's kind of a Russian name. And
Mm-mm.
Koreans call their cats Nabi, or refer to a lot of street cats Nabia, Nabia. They'll call, so
That's
like
right.
butterfly. So I thought Nadia. It kind of even sounds like Nabia, and
It
she comes
does.
and greets me. I bring her food, and it's just getting cold now. But I cannot take her. My cats would disown me if I brought another cat home. I will pay for her spaying. I will deliver her somewhere. I mean, somebody would have to fill out a form for adoption, but even if somebody could foster, um, yeah, she looks mean in that first picture, but she's super, super friendly, loves, I mean, she'll let me pet her, and she is really, really affectionate. Clearly, she had a human. I noticed her on my walks in October, and she would go away for a while, but now she's there every day. And
Exactly. If just me from the photos, I noticed she looks like her fur and her general health. Like I've seen a lot of street cats, especially in Korea. And so she looks like she has had an owner. She looks like she has had some love in
she
her
lets
life.
me brush her. She's
Oh, okay.
and she's still grooming, but my worry is cats that had owners and were abandoned, probably like my Valjean, um,
Mhm.
don't do well. The ones that do well are the ones that are born on the streets or have been feral and are part of colonies. And so that's why I really want to find her an owner, because she's like, catching her to spay her would be no problem. I just pick her up. You know,
Right. So
it's
she's already very accustomed to human touch.
yeah.
So Sonia, can you
And I
tell
would get
people?
her checked out too for like the main diseases. So
Right. So, everyone, so this is a specific animal that we are looking for someone to adopt or foster here in South Korea. And its location would be, was it near Cheongju? Is that right?
she's in Jochuan. So
Jochuan.
yeah,
Okay.
she's
Okay.
in your old neighborhood by that little creek.
That's right. That's right.
um,
So everyone, Jochuan is Sejong near Daejeon in the center of the country.
but I
So
mean, I
if
have a
you were
car. I can
right,
bring her.
if you were near that area especially, but also I'm currently in Wonju and Gangwon-do, so like Sonia said, she has a car, she has transportation and is willing to pay spaying fees to help, you get set up with a cat. So if you have been considering, I think this beautiful little animal, Nadia, would be a great Christmas present for someone. She needs a home. She looks very healthy and she seems very used to people.
But
So if
it's a
you need a
commitment.
companion, right, exactly. It's not
It's 18, 19-year commitment potentially. And they do, they do get sick and they do need vaccinations in general. I mean,
that's
I'm
right.
not the best about bringing my cats to the vet, but this year everybody had a full physical and got microchipped and got their shots
That's
caught up
right.
on.
So we want to do things always responsibly. It's not like, at Easter time in America, sometimes people will get a rabbit or baby chickens for photos, and then what do you do after? So it's not that kind of situation where you just get a cat because, oh, I'm a little bit lonely. But if you know you're ready, if you know you can commit to it,
He's a
this little lady might be the
yeah,
one. So
and
still an
friendly.
important thing in the States that needs to be done. It improves their health. So the mama cat doesn't have to keep having bunches of babies without having enough food on their own. That's right, Emily. The spaying and neutering of, especially, neutering's the easier one. That is so important for all of us. All right. So, everyone, if you are interested in cat adoption, Sonia, how can they contact you?
Good question. um, Facebook
Is Facebook the best
or
one?
if they post at the bottom of this YouTube video, when
Mm-mm.
you post the YouTube video,
Right.
I will contact them through my YouTube email or I'll just
Sounds
give them my
sounds
info.
great. So everyone, Sonia will be checking the comments in the future on this YouTube video, and it's live now. It's live in the world. It's got a comment section open, so that will be the best place to contact her. So, and also in the future, I think Sonia is very connected with the animal rescue and adoption community in Korea. So,
Facebook.
if you, right, right. So, if you were interested in knowing like the Facebook groups, in knowing, getting into the community that helps animals and helps rescue animals and work for ethical treatment of animals in Korea, Sonia is the person to talk to. So, leave a
I
comment.
can introduce them to all the other people that they,
That's right. That's right. And different people have specific areas. Some people are, they're a dog person. Or one of my friends I plan to interview soon works with horses. She's an equestrian, and she's working for ethical treatment of horses in the entertainment industry in Korea. They use them for a lot of movies. So,
that was a big scandal recently. Like,
oh, right.
yeah.
What did you hear? I,
It
I
was a
didn't
horse
get.
that had died or something from
Oh,
filming
oh.
something.
So it's situations like this, and it's not Korea only. I'm just mentioning it because it happens to be the country I live in. But in any country, um, considering animals, considering their life and their quality of life, I think is an honorable thing. And so I'm glad that Sonia is involved in that.
Well, but I also did it because it raised the quality of my life. Like I come home
Oh,
and somebody greets me every day, and we go to sleep together every night. I get cuddles and stuff, and I wake up and they're there every morning. And and we play. It makes me get up and wave a string. um, and and they're funny, they're
mm-mm.
amusing. And then during COVID, I was so glad I had
Oh,
them. I would have gone batty. We taught from home for 2 years. So
absolutely, absolutely. So
Oh,
everyone, that's a good point, that it's not merely an act of charity. It's not like giving and getting nothing in return. An animal is a companion, and someone to come home to, even if you have, roommates or a partner or family. It's a member of your family. It's a member of your community. It's a good thing. And I've heard often that people with pets do live on average a little bit longer than others. So you might kick up your longevity a bit.
purring heels.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Purring. They they heal themselves, and they help us too. The So we had adopt, don't shop. Lots of animals out there who need help. Thank you, Emily. I think again, I say in Korea because I live here and I notice it more, but there is a huge pet shop culture, which means there's a huge puppy mill culture here. There are pet shops everywhere. You see the adorable tiny little animals in the window who look obviously sick or obviously drugged. It's not a good thing. It's not what we want. And
And
as much as you want to help them. Oh, go
they're
ahead,
all
Sonia.
tiny, they're all
Mm-mm.
so, like you said, so little. What happens to the ones that don't get sold? Like,
Exactly. That
they
is
end up in
the
the shelters and on the streets.
right. That's the question I always ask myself is every single animal in this window, and there are many animals in this window, is so young. And that means that they got to replace them maximum every 2 months. So the old ones go to the shelters, or what? And where are the new ones coming from? Under what conditions are they being born?
That's
So
why, like, I won't give this cat a home, but I'll bring her to get spayed because she is a Russian blue and I don't want her used for breeding.
oh, that's right. And she's a beautiful animal. And so everyone, I'm currently in employer provided housing, and I'm contractually obligated to not raise an animal. So that is why I am
And
providing
that's
a
a problem for a lot of people in Korea.
Oh,
I think
yes.
Epic, like if you're in the Epic housing, they don't allow
Mhm.
animals either. So people, you really have to ask, your landlords, and like for an adoption situation or a foster, I need to have that.
That's
Um,
right. We have to check on it. It's not a no-go for everybody, but it does provide kind of an obstacle for a number of people. Emily says, "I love my cat Zella, who I adopted from her foster mom." And Emily was like babysitting, fostering for some animals when
foster.
she was here, and I was so inspired by that. I got to go, see them a couple times, and it was. It's so heartwarming to see someone else reaching out and taking their time
So
to do something like that.
one thing you can do, if you can't foster because of the housing situation, but I also pet taxi. I bring people to the pounds to pull a dog, and like I drove Kaz and Ember from. Well, I met the people that were adopting them, brought them to Emily's, and then drove them back to Pyeongtaek or Osan.
Oh, that might be interesting. That's another
People that
way, right?
Yeah, and because
Oh,
they
this
would have just had to take them on, like, it would have been like a train and 2 buses or taxis, and they're already getting
right.
stressed.
Those of us with cars, we can do a lot more. So we had a question here from Layla. Have you ever gotten a serious injury from animals when you try to rescue them? That's a good question,
That's
and
a good
many
question.
people would be curious.
Um, you know, I deal with real ferals, and I've learned the hard way from having a feral, even just get loose like in your
Mm-mm.
bathroom. They're just wild. They fly around, but especially like in a guest room that has furnishing, it can be, or in a doctor's office. Um, so now what I do is I have like this pop tent, and I have kennels I borrowed from a girl that brought her dog and cat with her. So she doesn't need them until they fly back home. So I have like a bigger kennel that the dog came in, and a smaller one. And because you can't keep them in a trap like They usually have to
Mm.
be without food for 8 hours before the surgery. So I try to get them the night before and then put in my car, I'll put them from the trap into the kennel and then put them in a pop-up tent so that they tend not to even try to leave the kennel when they feel they're in the tent. When I put
Oh,
food in there or put the litter box in there and take it out. But this one cat that I didn't even have to trap, she was so hungry, she just walked into the kennel. Um,
oh,
and I think she was a little pregnant, but anyway, I didn't zip the tent up and I went in there
oh,
just to take her food out at midnight and she got loose in the room and oh, it was like me and oven mitt or not that was before I started using the oven mitts, but um me chasing her around, I finally got hold of her and she clamped down on me with her teeth and I felt it and all, got her back in the case. And the next day while she was getting spayed, I was at the clinic because my hand swelled up
oh
and hurt.
my.
And I
So
was on
that's
antibiotics for 3 weeks. So
right.
I
So,
decided to get my cats boosted because they usually don't come into contact. I keep them in separate rooms from anybody I'm TNRing. But you know, if it can get loose and bite me, I don't want them to get loose and bite them. And every time I TNR, I also get the cat a free round of immunizations and for
oh,
all
that
the
is
major
so
cat diseases.
that's so wise.
But
So everyone, in other words, it is very dangerous. Not this is not adopting a cat from a friend or adopting a cat that has had an owner and that is more gentle, but the true feral cats that have never been in much contact with human beings, they really are wild. They really do carry some infections, and they really will attack if they feel threatened. So you have to have various things in place to protect your own body, to protect your other animals, to protect your home. So, and again, it's another reason that Sonia is so brave to be willing. No, so many people would not go to that level of inconvenience, and I find it honorable. I
a
do.
colleague of mine and his wife are like Rosie's my mentor. When I brought Valjean home, I spent that weekend on the phone with her. She had him totally diagnosed, and she had the correct diagnosis through the phone.
Oh,
Um, and so they're my go-tos. They lent me the first trap before I bought one, and then just getting hooked up with the rest of the community. I've lent my trap to other people. Um, so I get inspired by others and then I hope to inspire. And it seems like there's the same like dozen of us that keep donating to each other for things. So
there you go. The community helping each
we're
other.
a
So
circular.
Emily had asked, "Are the females forced to keep breeding?" You mean like in a puppy mill or a kitty mill situation? I would assume so. I would assume because they are a product, they are an assembly line, they are a system of production. I assume that they are kept in breeding order until they are not able to do so any longer. So it's a great thing she's attempting to save Nadia from. Oh, great idea, Sonia. For those who have cars in Korea, a great way to volunteer. That is true. I loved the pet taxi idea that if you cannot adopt an animal or cannot foster, if you have a vehicle, you can transport animals or transport people who do want to adopt or foster. It's a beautiful idea.
And
Oh
Kaz and
no.
Ember, they have their own like YouTube channel.
Oh, hey,
Um,
really?
yeah, and they're owners because I got to drive back with them. They're lovely people, good military guy, and the girl is from the Philippines doing her doctorate in pharmacy.
Ooh. Ooh, nice.
Really
That's
interesting.
another thing, guys. You can do so much content. If you like making videos and TikToks and Insta, you can do a lot with an animal. Which
Or
again,
basic
it is
tours.
it is so it is so unfair, but I can't because what me and a cat could not accomplish, I know. So Layla says, "Oh, go ahead, Sonia."
No, I mean, it healed up. No, I was gonna say most of the YouTubes that I watch, like, that are not for work or not trying to find lessons, are, like, cat videos. Calm me down, just, like, there was a couple of people that have adopted cats that, like, One Bike, One World, and Lex and Cinnabon, that they're just very soothing, and just sometimes at the end of the day, you just wanna watch a man play with a cat.
Right. It is, as much as having an animal, a companion animal, is a benefit to our lives. Watching others enjoying the same thing, that's part of human connection. That's part of like the world. And did you have a huge passion of caring and rescuing animals since you were very young? That's a great question, Layla. That's a good
Yeah,
one.
you know, my mom said that letting me have a cat when I was like 5 was the first time she ever stood up to her mother-in-law, because my grandmother said, like, no, we shouldn't have animals in the house. And my mom was like, she wants a cat, because for like a year, every day I would be like, Mom, Dad, can we get a cat? Can we get a cat?
And
Oh,
you were genuine,
and
right?
I wore them down, and I think they just finally decided it's going to be easier to get the cat than to listen to her for another 10 years. And, like
So
I turned vegetarian at like 5 or 6 when I learned that animals were meat. That chicken
right
that you got at Kentucky Fried Chicken was like,
was a chicken.
yeah, like when my mom read us Charlotte's Web, and then the same year took me to Austria to her hometown, and I saw farms for the first time. My brain was like,
Right.
oh,
So very early there was this love and not just passion for in the sense of being very interested in, but compassion for, empathy for animals.
yeah.
And I think that's still evident today. So Emily says yes, follow Kaz and Ember. I'll try to find their YouTube channel. Okay, let's see. So everyone, there you go.
I think
There's if you would care to check out an amazing cat channel, cat,
but actually, like, Cass and Ember have really, those two, they take them out for walks.
mm-mm.
The girl, I think Ember, loves the sink and playing in water. Like, they're really
Right. Okay, so
finally
everyone,
finding
we're
the perfect home.
yes. So everyone, we're winding down the interview. Let's get on our last questions. We're going to close in about 3 minutes, 2, 3 minutes.
I
So
also have
if
a
you,
gray tabby that hangs out around the other cat. And if
okay.
people are interested in just any cats or dogs, I do have a lot of other friends that are more into the rescue, that actually foster and stuff. And also my friend Kathy in Chenan, and through the,
That's right.
she does like a lot
Cat.
of dog rescue. And I know a lot of other people that also foster dogs, and some specialize in different types of dogs. So
Mm-mm.
there's definitely
Will will
room
you
to
will
foster
you
or adopt.
um will you send a link to Kathy too, please? Because I want to make sure that I'm in contact with her for the future, just in case the community needs anything. But so everyone, we've got Nadia and we've got another possible cat for adoption that Sonia knows of in the area. So we had a
And I'll pay for his neutering too.
there you go, there you go.
Well,
So everyone,
'cause I haven't
you've
CNR'd in a while. With the broken hand, when I should have been doing a lot, I felt like I can't really deal with the trap with the splint and all.
Mm. Oh, don't worry, darling. You have done so much. You've
But
given to the community. So we got what a beautiful interview with Sonia. You're a very
thank
special
you.
and unique person. You do your best. You do. You do. And I think we're all blessed and honored to know you. So thank you for joining us on the show today,
For doing
Sonia.
this. It was such a short notice, and
I
I'm just
know.
like, I've been trying to find this girl a home for a
Mm-mm.
while, and I'm so worried with this cold coming in.
I know.
And
I know.
I cannot, my cats would not let me have a fourth cat.
No,
And I
no.
don't even have a room in my current apartment that I can close off for just her. It's like I have 3 rooms and they're all kind of used, and my cats, yeah. So
Exactly. So we're doing what we can to find a home for Nadia. So everyone, if you are interested, if you're interested in adopting or fostering a cat, or if you are just interested in getting involved in the animal help community here in Korea, please leave a comment. Sonia will connect with you. We've got so many beautiful possibilities for helping animals in Korea in the future. So we're going to say goodbye, everybody. Thank you for coming. Goodbye.
thanks. And everybody who comes later, thank